Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. How many of you have dreams that scare you? Dreams that feel so big, so impossible that when you think about them, you feel a mix of excitement and fear? Good. That's exactly where you need to be. Because life rewards the bold, it rewards the ones who refuse to play small. Too often, we approach life with hesitation. We say, I'll try, but not too hard. I'll see, but just in case it doesn't work out. And in that space of half-hearted commitment, mediocrity grows. You see, the universe doesn't meet you halfway. It doesn't give you half a breakthrough or half a miracle. You get what you fully commit to. Here's the truth. You can't dip your toes in the ocean and expect to conquer the waves. You either dive in completely or you stay stuck on the shore watching life pass you by. Going all in is about more than just effort. It's about mindset. It's about deciding that you will no longer allow fear, doubt, or hesitation to dictate your destiny. It's about stepping into the arena fully armored with belief, courage, and relentless action. Think about every success story you admire. Every athlete, every entrepreneur, every innovator. They didn't succeed because they tried halfway. They succeeded because they went all in. They refused to settle for anything less than greatness. They understood the simple truth: you either commit fully or nothing changes. Now, going all in doesn't mean reckless abandon. It means clarity. It means laser. Focus on the actions, habits, and choices that will move you closer to your vision every single day. It means eliminating distractions, cutting out excuses, and saying no to what doesn't serve your mission. And here's the most beautiful part: when you go all in, something magical happens. The universe starts to align. Doors open that you didn't even see before. People show up in your life who amplify your journey. And even when obstacles come, and they will, you discover that your own strength is far greater than you ever imagined. But let me warn you, there is no comfort in being almost all in. The moment you settle for 90% commitment, life will give you 90% results. If you want extraordinary, if you want transformation, if you want the kind of life that excites you every morning, you have to decide all in or nothing. So today, make that decision. Decide that you will live fully. Decide that fear will not control you. Decide that excuses have no place in your story. Decide that your dreams, your legacy, your life are worth everything you've got. And when you do that, when you step into life with full intensity and unstoppable resolve, you will discover that you are capable of far more than you ever believed. The only limit is the one you place on yourself. So I ask you one final question. Are you ready to go all in? Or will you settle for nothing? Because there is no in between. There is only the life you dream of and the life you settle for. Choose wisely, choose boldly, go all in. Commitment is the single most powerful force that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who merely watch life pass them by. Too many people approach their goals, their relationships, their health, and their careers with hesitation, as if life were a buffet where they could take a little bit of everything without consequences. They dip their toes into challenges, testing the waters, hoping for results without being willing to endure the full process of growth. But here's the truth: life does not reward half-hearted efforts, and success does not bend toward those who are merely sort of committed. Half measures in any area of life always lead to mediocrity, because when you commit partially, you are inviting inconsistency, distractions, and compromise into your journey. When you approach a goal with a timid mindset, when you tell yourself you will try just enough to see what happens, you are silently setting a limit on your potential. Commitment is not something that can be negotiated or rationed. It is all-encompassing. It demands that you bring your full energy, your full focus, and your full belief into the arena. It asks that you stop waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, or the perfect alignment of circumstances. Life will never hand you those guarantees, and those who wait for them often find themselves living in the shadows of their own potential. To commit fully means to make a conscious, unwavering decision to invest yourself 100% in pursuit of your goals, no matter how difficult, uncomfortable, or uncertain the path may become. It means that you refuse to allow fear, doubt, or hesitation to dictate your actions. When you are fully committed, failure is no longer a threat. It becomes a teacher, a stepping stone that propels you forward. Partial commitment is the breeding ground for excuses. When you give only a fraction of yourself to a goal, you will always find reasons to quit, to delay, or to settle for less than you deserve. Mediocrity thrives where commitment is lacking because it exploits hesitation and capitalizes on distraction. People who achieve greatness understand this principle intuitively. They know that to succeed, to create results that matter, they must enter life with full presence, with full effort, and with the courage to give themselves completely to the process. There is a profound difference between trying and committing. Trying is tentative, it is experimental, and filled with what-ifs. Committing is decisive. It is unwavering and driven by an unshakable belief in the possibility of your own potential. When you commit fully, you are telling yourself, your mind, and the universe that nothing will divert you from your purpose, that nothing will stop you from creating the outcome you desire. And this commitment is not passive. It is active. It is relentless. It demands that you take consistent daily action, even when the path is unclear, even when motivation wavers, even when obstacles appear insurmountable. The human mind is a master of compromise. It will seek the easiest path, the most comfortable option, and the least risky choice whenever commitment is incomplete. But true fulfillment and extraordinary achievement cannot be found in comfort or ease. They are earned in the crucible of full engagement, of total devotion to a vision that is bigger than fear and bigger than the limitations of current circumstances. To commit fully also requires clarity of purpose. You must know exactly what you want, why you want it, and what it will take to achieve it. Without clarity, commitment is shallow because it lacks direction. Half measures often stem from a lack of clarity. People wander, hoping to stumble upon success, but without a concrete target, energy dissipates, momentum falters, and potential is wasted. Commitment demands a vision so compelling that it overrides the temptation to settle, a vision so vivid that every action, every decision, and every sacrifice aligns with its achievement. Full commitment transforms obstacles into opportunities. When you are partially committed, challenges appear as roadblocks and setbacks feel like failure. But when you are all in, every obstacle becomes a teacher, every failure becomes feedback, and every difficulty becomes fuel for growth. The intensity of your commitment determines the intensity of your results. When you give yourself fully, when you invest every ounce of energy, creativity, and courage, life responds in kind. Opportunities emerge that were invisible to those who only dabble. Connections appear that were unimaginable to those who only observe. There is a momentum that builds when commitment is total, a momentum that carries you forward even when fear, doubt, or exhaustion threaten to slow you down. Commitment is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice, a choice repeated over and over again to show up, to give your best, and to refuse anything less than total engagement. Half-hearted efforts are like planting seeds in dry soil. You might see a sprout, but it will never reach its full potential. Full commitment is like planting in fertile, while watered soil tending to it daily, nurturing it, protecting it, and giving it everything it needs to flourish. People who embrace full commitment understand that the journey is not linear. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments when progress seems invisible. But the difference lies in the level of dedication. Those who are all in persist beyond the temporary discomfort, beyond the moments of doubt, and beyond the fears that paralyze the hesitant. They know that the pain of effort is temporary, but the reward of total commitment is enduring. Another critical aspect of full commitment is accountability. When you commit fully, you cannot blame circumstances, other people, or external factors for your outcomes. You accept complete responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your results. Partial commitment allows for blame. Full commitment demands ownership. It is this ownership that empowers you to take control of your life, to design your destiny, and to refuse to settle for mediocrity. The energy you put into commitment is transformative. It changes not only the trajectory of your goals, but also the quality of your character. People who commit fully cultivate resilience, courage, and confidence. They become unstoppable forces in the face of adversity because their belief in their own potential is unwavering and their willingness to take action is limitless. When you commit fully, you inspire those around you. Your energy, your focus, and your determination become contagious. People are drawn to those who are all in because they radiate authenticity, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. Half-hearted effort never inspires. It barely leaves a trace. True influence comes from complete engagement, from giving everything you have to your vision and to the people you serve. Finally, committing fully is an act of courage. It is a declaration that you are willing to risk comfort, security, and certainty in pursuit of a higher goal. It is a choice to step into the unknown, to embrace growth, and to challenge your limits. The alternative is a life of regret, wondering what could have been, always questioning whether you gave enough, whether you tried hard enough, whether you dared to step fully into your own potential. Mediocrity is not accidental. It is the product of hesitation, compromise, and half-hearted effort. Excellence, fulfillment, and extraordinary achievement are the rewards of those who dare to commit fully, who refuse to settle for anything less than the totality of their energy, focus, and belief. To commit fully is to step into the arena without reservation, to give everything you have to the pursuit of your dreams, and to refuse to allow fear, doubt, or circumstance to limit your potential. It is the difference between living a life of quiet disappointment and living a life of extraordinary achievement, and it is available to anyone who chooses it. Fear and doubt are not enemies. They are signals that you are standing at the threshold of growth. Too often, people interpret fear as a stop sign, as if the presence of discomfort or uncertainty means they should turn back, retreat to safety, or abandon their pursuit altogether. But the truth is the exact opposite. Fear and doubt show up when you are stretching beyond your comfort zone, when you are daring to step into something greater than what you've ever experienced before. They are proof that you are moving in the direction of expansion. If you are not feeling fear, it usually means you are staying small, repeating the same patterns, and choosing familiarity over possibility. Growth cannot exist without discomfort. Every time you attempt something extraordinary, every time you commit to becoming more than you are today, fear will whisper, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if it doesn't work? Doubt will creep in with questions designed to paralyze you. But rather than treating those voices as barriers, you must learn to see them as confirmation that you are exactly where you need to be. The presence of fear means the stakes are real, and the presence of doubt means the outcome matters. When you look back at your life, the most transformative moments were not the times you felt completely secure and confident. They were the moments you lived despite the trembling in your chest. You didn't grow from what was easy. You grew from what was uncertain. Fear is not a wall. It's a compass pointing toward the path that holds your breakthrough. It's a signpost telling you that what you are about to do carries weight, that it has the power to shape your future, that it matters enough to stir something deep within you. Imagine an athlete preparing for a championship game. Do they feel calm, relaxed, indifferent? Absolutely not. Their body vibrates with nerves, their mind races with possibilities, their stomach churns with anticipation. That energy is not weakness, it's fuel. It's the body's way of preparing for battle. The same is true in your own life. When fear arises, it's your body's signal that you're stepping into a bigger arena, one that requires more of you than before. The question is not whether fear will show up. The question is how you will respond when it does. Doubt often disguises itself as logic. It tells you to be realistic, to stay safe, to keep your head down and avoid risk. But the truth is, doubt's job is to test your commitment. If you fold at the first sign of doubt, it means your vision wasn't strong enough to anchor you. When you're fully committed, you can acknowledge the doubt, but continue to take action anyway. You don't need to eliminate fear and doubt. You need to learn to dance with them. Think about every innovator, every leader, every individual who has left a mark on history. Do you think they were free of fear? No, they were saturated in it. They doubted themselves. They questioned whether they were capable. They wrestled with uncertainty, but they moved anyway. They acted in the presence of fear, not the absence of it. Courage is not the elimination of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. Fear and doubt are simply signs that you are alive, that you are pushing beyond what is comfortable, that you are demanding more from yourself than the version of you that existed yesterday. If you feel no fear, if you feel no doubt, it means you're not asking enough of yourself. It means you're settling, and settling is the slow death of potential. The mistake most people make is waiting for fear to vanish before they take action. They wait to feel confident, certain, ready. But readiness is a lie, because confidence is not something you have before you act. It's something you gain by acting. The more you step into fear, the more your nervous system adapts, the more your identity expands, and the more your confidence grows. Fear then becomes a training ground, not a limitation. Every time you face it, you expand your capacity for growth. Doubt, too, has a hidden gift. It forces you to confront the question of belief. Do you truly believe in your vision, in your ability, in your worth? If doubt shakes you, that's an opportunity to strengthen your resolve, to reinforce your foundation, to reconnect with why you started in the first place. Doubt reveals where your inner certainty is fragile, and by leaning into it, you develop an unshakable belief system that carries you through the toughest storms. Fear and doubt are also invitations to trust yourself at a deeper level. They call you to rely not on guarantees, but on faith. Faith in your own resourcefulness, faith in your resilience, faith that even if you fall, you will rise stronger than before. They push you to access parts of yourself that remain dormant when life is easy. They draw out creativity, adaptability, and strength you never knew you had. Without fear, you remain stagnant. Without doubt, you remain shallow. Together, they are catalysts for transformation. Think of the greatest leap you've ever taken. The moment you said yes when everything inside you screamed no. The time you stepped onto the stage despite your shaking hands. The moment you invested in yourself when your mind shouted it was too risky. Those moments defined you because they forced you to grow. They taught you that fear is not a barrier. It is a signal, and doubt is not a verdict. It is a challenge. Each time you honor those signals by stepping forward, you condition yourself to see fear and doubt not as threats, but as allies. They become familiar companions, reminders that you are in the right place, doing the right work, chasing something worth chasing. The people who live extraordinary lives are not those who eliminate fear and doubt. They are those who reinterpret them. They don't see fear as danger. They see it as direction. They don't see doubt as weakness. They see it as an opportunity to double down on belief. They reframe the discomfort as proof that they are on the edge of expansion, the very edge where life transforms. Fear and doubt never leave, but your relationship with them can change. When you stop resisting them, when you stop waiting for them to disappear, when you embrace them as signals of growth, they lose their power to control you. They no longer paralyze you, they propel you. They become reminders that you are not stuck in the past, you are not repeating old cycles, you are creating something new. And creating something new always feels uncertain, always feels risky, always feels terrifying because it requires you to become someone you've never been before. That is the essence of transformation. So the next time fear rises in your chest, the next time doubt whispers in your ear, don't run, don't retreat, don't question whether you're on the wrong path. Recognize them for what they are, signs that you're stretching, proof that you're growing, evidence that you're walking into a future bigger than your past. Clarity is the foundation of all achievement. Without clarity, energy is scattered, time is wasted, and momentum is lost. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack direction. They don't know exactly what they want, and so they chase distractions, drift with circumstances, and settle for whatever life throws their way. Clarity means deciding with absolute certainty what you are pursuing, why it matters, and what it will take to achieve it. It is the moment when the fog lifts and you see your destination so vividly that everything else fades into the background. When you have clarity, you stop entertaining options that don't serve you. You stop chasing things that don't align with your purpose, and you stop compromising your standards just to fit into someone else's idea of success. Clarity is power because it focuses every thought, every decision, and every ounce of energy on what truly matters. Focus is the amplifier of clarity. Knowing what you want is only the beginning. Keeping your attention locked onto that target is where transformation happens. The world is filled with distractions designed to pull your energy in 1,000 different directions. Every notification, every doubt, every temptation is competing for your attention. Without focus, clarity is wasted potential. But when you train your mind to stay fixed on your vision, when you learn to direct your attention toward what moves you forward and block out everything else, you create unstoppable momentum. Focus sharpens your decisions, strengthens your actions, and eliminates the noise that keeps most people stuck. It allows you to take the limited time and energy you have and invest them into what produces the highest return on your life. Focus is the discipline of saying no to what doesn't serve your vision so that you can give everything to what does. Relentless action is the bridge between vision and reality. You can have all the clarity in the world. You can be laser focused on your goal, but if you do not take consistent, massive action, nothing changes. Action is the language of commitment. It is how you tell yourself and the world that you are serious about transformation. Relentless action doesn't mean working mindlessly or burning yourself out. It means moving forward every single day, no matter how small the step, no matter how heavy the resistance. It means refusing to wait for perfect conditions, refusing to be paralyzed by fear, and refusing to let doubt dictate your pace. Relentless action is driven by a hunger that does not fade when things get hard, by a determination that does not crumble when setbacks arise, by a persistence that sees obstacles as fuel rather than walls. When you act relentlessly, you build habits of discipline, habits of courage, and habits of excellence that compound over time until transformation is inevitable. Clarity, focus, and relentless action work together as a triad of transformation. Clarity without focus leads to distraction. Focus without action leads to frustration. Action without clarity leads to exhaustion. But when you align all three, when you know exactly what you want, when you give your full attention to it, and when you take massive, relentless steps toward it, you unlock a force that reshapes your life from the inside out. You stop being a wanderer and become a creator. You stop reacting to circumstances and start directing them. You stop hoping for change and start engineering it with precision and intensity. Clarity gives you the what and the why. It defines your destination and fuels your motivation with purpose. Focus gives you the how. It channels your energy so that every action counts, so that you are not scattering your power, but consolidating it into a laser beam that cuts through obstacles. Relentless action is the when. It is now, today, this moment. It ensures that you don't just dream about transformation, you live it, breathe it, and manifest it through consistent motion. When these three forces align, transformation is no longer a possibility, it becomes inevitable. It becomes the natural byproduct of a life lived with intention, discipline, and unshakable resolve. Think about anyone who has achieved mastery in their field. They had absolute clarity on what they wanted. They weren't dabbling or experimenting aimlessly. They knew the outcome they were pursuing. They had focus so intense that distractions couldn't pull them away, even when temptations surrounded them. And they took relentless action, practicing, working, grinding day after day, long after others quit. Their results didn't come from luck. They came from clarity, focus, and action repeated with persistence until excellence became their identity. The same principle applies to you. If you want to transform your life, you must stop waiting for inspiration and start cultivating clarity. You must stop giving your energy to distractions and start developing ruthless focus. You must stop procrastinating and start building momentum with relentless action. Clarity demands that you define your standards. What will you no longer tolerate in your life? What outcomes will you absolutely demand of yourself? What future are you unwilling to compromise on? When your standards rise, your clarity sharpens. Focus demands discipline. It asks you to train your mind like a muscle, to control your attention, to resist the pull of mediocrity, and to commit fully to the task at hand. Relentless action demands courage. It asks you to move even when you are uncertain, to step even when you are afraid, to persist even when progress is invisible. Together, these qualities reshape not just your results, but your identity. They turn you into someone who doesn't just hope for transformation, but embodies it every day through choices, actions, and mindset. Transformation is not magic, it is math. It is the compounded result of clarity multiplied by focus, multiplied by relentless action. Remove one variable and the equation collapses. But strengthen each one and the results become exponential. With clarity, your energy is precise. With focus, your energy is magnified. With relentless action, your energy is executed. That is the formula for any breakthrough, any success, any reinvention. That is how ordinary lives become extraordinary, how potential turns into performance, and how dreams are converted into reality. When you align clarity, focus, and relentless action, you step into a state where excuses lose their power, where distractions fade, where fear and doubt are acknowledged but overridden, where every day becomes an opportunity to close the gap between who you are and who you are meant to be. This is not theory, it is practice. It is a way of living that demands everything but gives back even more. It is the discipline of knowing what you want, locking onto it with unshakable focus, and moving toward it with daily, consistent, unstoppable action. This is how you create transformation that lasts, transformation that redefines what is possible, transformation that sets you free from the patterns of your past and propels you into the future you were born. To create extraordinary results are not created in environments of clutter, distraction, or excuse making. They are the product of absolute discipline, of a razor-sharp focus on what matters most, and of an unwavering refusal to tolerate anything less than your best. Most people never experience the highest levels of achievement, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they allow distractions to fragment their attention and excuses to justify their inaction. Distractions dilute your power. Every time you turn to something irrelevant, every time you indulge in meaningless habits, every time you give your energy to things that don't serve your purpose, you are weakening your ability to produce results that truly matter. Extraordinary achievement requires the elimination of everything that pulls you away from your vision. Because greatness is born in the space of concentrated energy, not scattered effort. Excuses are the silent killers of potential. They feel comforting in the moment, they soothe the sting of failure, they rationalize inaction, but over time, they steal your life. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall between you and your goals. Excuses say, I can't because, while results demand, I will until. When you make excuses, you give your power away to circumstances, to other people, to external forces. But when you take radical responsibility, when you own every outcome, every failure, every success, you reclaim control over your destiny. Extraordinary results are reserved for those who refuse to let excuses define their story. You cannot be both committed to your vision and committed to your excuses at the same time. You must choose one because they cannot coexist. Distractions in today's world are more seductive than ever. Technology, social media, endless entertainment, constant noise, these things are designed to capture your attention, to pull you into consumption rather than creation. Every notification, every unnecessary task, every meaningless activity chips away at your ability to focus deeply on what moves you forward. Extraordinary achievement requires a conscious decision to cut the noise, to silence the things that don't align with your mission, to reclaim your attention as your most valuable resource. Time is not your greatest asset. Focus is. And when focus is fractured, results become average. But when focus is concentrated, when you eliminate distractions ruthlessly, you create a level of output and performance that feels almost superhuman. Eliminating distractions means designing your environment for success. It means surrounding yourself with people, habits, and spaces that pull you higher instead of pulling you down. It means removing the clutter, both physical and mental, that keeps you stuck in cycles of mediocrity. It means setting boundaries with people who drain your energy and with activities that rob you of momentum. Extraordinary results don't come from willpower alone. They come from creating an environment where excellence is the default and distraction is not an option. If you want to elevate your life, you must elevate the standards of what you allow in it. Excuses thrive in the absence of accountability. When no one is watching, when no one is holding you to your word, it becomes easy to justify why you didn't give your best effort, why you didn't follow through, why you settled. But the truth is, accountability begins with you. The highest achievers don't wait for someone else to hold them accountable. They hold themselves accountable. They measure their actions against their standards, not against their circumstances. They refuse to indulge in stories that explain away mediocrity. They choose responsibility over rationalization, ownership over victimhood. Extraordinary results require this level of inner discipline because excuses may protect your ego temporarily, but they destroy your growth permanently. To eliminate excuses, you must be brutally honest with yourself. You must confront the gap between what you say you want and what you actually do. You must recognize that excuses are nothing more than lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable, and comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every excuse has a cost. The cost of time wasted, the cost of opportunities missed, the cost of potential never realized. When you realize the true price of excuses, they lose their power. When you replace "I can't because" with "I must until," your entire life shifts. You begin to operate from a place of inevitability where results are not optional. They are the only outcome you accept. Extraordinary results are not complicated. They are the byproduct of simplicity, focus, and consistency. But most people never simplify because they are drowning in distractions, never focus because they are addicted to business, and never act consistently because they are too busy making excuses for why they can't. The path to greatness is not about doing more. It is about doing less, but doing it with absolute intensity. It is about cutting out the noise, cutting out the excuses, and channeling all of your energy into the few things that truly matter. When you master this discipline, you create leverage, and leverage creates extraordinary results. Eliminating distractions also requires clarity on your priorities. If everything is important, nothing is important. Extraordinary achievers are ruthless about their priorities. They know exactly what matters, they guard it fiercely, and they say no to everything else. This is not selfish, it is strategic. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that could transform your life. Extraordinary results come from aligning your time and energy with your highest values and refusing to compromise them for temporary pleasures or external approval. Distractions are seductive because they offer quick rewards. Excuses are tempting because they offer temporary comfort. But both are thieves. They steal the future you are capable of creating. Extraordinary results demand that you stop bargaining with your potential. They demand that you eliminate the distractions that dilute your energy and destroy the excuses that weaken your resolve. When you eliminate distractions and excuses, something powerful happens. You free up massive amounts of energy and attention to invest in growth, in progress, in creation. You begin to operate at levels of clarity and intensity that most people never experience. You feel lighter because you're no longer carrying the weight of wasted time and self-deception. You feel stronger because you're no longer weakened by compromise. You feel unstoppable because your path is clear. Your focus is sharp and your actions are uncompromised. Extraordinary results are not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. They are reserved for the disciplined. For those who master the art of focus and responsibility, every distraction eliminated is a step closer to mastery. Every excuse destroyed is a step closer to transformation. Extraordinary lives are not built on extraordinary moments. They are built on ordinary days lived with extraordinary discipline. They are built by people who decided that distractions and excuses would no longer have a place in their story, that their vision was too important to be compromised, that their future was worth more than their comfort. When you live with that level of commitment, extraordinary results stop being a dream and start becoming your reality. Life does not respond to hesitation. It responds to certainty. It does not reward the timid. It rewards the bold. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every extraordinary result begins with a decision made with full conviction, with no room for turning back, no space for retreat. The problem for most people is they live in the in. Between they dabble. They test the waters without ever diving in. They say they want change, but they hold onto their safety nets. They whisper commitments instead of declaring them with power. And in doing so, they rob themselves of the very rewards they crave. Life is not designed to give extraordinary rewards to half-hearted effort. It only unlocks its treasures when you make the decision to go all in. A bold decision has a different energy. You can feel it when you make it. It is not tentative. It is not conditional. It is not dependent on circumstances aligning perfectly. It is a line in the sand. It is you saying, from this moment on, I am all in. I will give everything. I will hold nothing back, and I will not stop until the outcome is real. That kind of decision is magnetic. It pulls resources, opportunities, and people into your orbit. It creates momentum because it eliminates the back and forth of hesitation. When you're all in, there is no wasted energy on doubt, no wasted time on, should I or shouldn't I? The decision is made. The only thing left is execution. And that is when life begins to reward you. Hesitation is the enemy of destiny. Every time you pause to question whether you should commit, every time you hold back out of fear, every time you play small to avoid risk, you are sending a message to yourself and to the world that you are not ready. And life responds accordingly. Opportunities pass you by, breakthroughs remain hidden, and results stay out of reach because you haven't stepped fully into the game. But when you choose boldness, when you eliminate the option of turning back, you ignite a force within yourself that was dormant before. You tap into creativity, resilience, and determination you never knew you had. The act of going all in changes who you are, and that changes what life rewards. Think about every major shift in your own life. Was it born from hesitation, from dipping a toe into the water? Or was it born from a bold moment when you said, enough is enough, I'm doing this now? The relationships that mattered, the career moves that elevated you, the moments you grew the most, they all came from bold, all-in choices. There was no guarantee, there was no safety, there was no certainty. There was only a decision. And in that decision, life opened up a new path. That is the pattern of transformation. That is the way life works. It will not hand you certainty before you commit. It gives you certainty after you commit. The leap comes first. The net appears second. There is no in between because the in between kills momentum. Half commitment splits your energy. Part of you moves forward while another part clings to the past. Part of you pursues the goal while another part searches for an exit. That divided energy creates weak results, and weak results reinforce doubt, and doubt leads to quitting. That is the cycle of mediocrity. But when you go all in, when you eliminate the exit routes, when you refuse to give yourself another option, you cut off the possibility of retreat. And in doing so, you force yourself to find a way. That level of commitment ignites resourcefulness. It pulls strength from places you didn't know existed. It compels you to persist when most people would surrender. That is why life rewards the bold, because the bold are the ones who refuse to stop until they win. Bold decisions are not reckless decisions. They are clear, intentional, and backed by commitment. Being all in doesn't mean acting without thought. It means once you've chosen, you remove the hesitation, you silence the second guessing, and you devote yourself fully to the path. The energy of indecision is draining, but the energy of a bold decision is electrifying. It gives you momentum. It gives you momentum. It gives you clarity. It simplifies your life because now every action, every choice, every behavior is filtered through the lens of that commitment. You stop asking, should I do this? And instead you ask, how can I make this work? That shift alone is life-changing. Boldness creates identity. Every time you make a bold, all-in decision, you are redefining who you are. You are no longer the person who plays small, who waits for permission, who hesitates until everything feels safe. You are becoming the person who decides, who acts, who commits fully. That identity is powerful because your actions will always rise to the level of who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are timid, your actions will reflect timidity. If you believe you are bold, your actions will reflect boldness. And the world responds not to your potential, but to your actions. The bolder your actions, the greater the rewards. There is no in between because life doesn't recognize half effort. You can't plant a seed and water it once a month and expect a harvest. You can't train sporadically and expect to perform like a champion. You can't invest half your energy into a relationship and expect it to thrive. Extraordinary results demand extraordinary commitment. And extraordinary commitment looks like going all in, showing up every day, giving everything you have, and refusing to settle for good enough. Good enough is the language of mediocrity. All in is the language of transformation, the rewards of bold. All in decisions are not just external, they are internal. You gain confidence because you learn to trust yourself. You gain strength because you push beyond your limits. You gain freedom because you no longer live in the prison of hesitation. Every bold choice expands your identity, and that expansion cannot be taken from you. You become the kind of person who knows deep down that whatever comes your way, you will find a way through it because you are all in. That confidence is priceless, and it only comes from living fully committed, never from standing in the in-between. The truth is, the in-between is more painful than failure. When you are in between, you live with the constant frustration of knowing you are capable of more but never experiencing it. You feel the weight of untapped potential pressing on you every day. You wonder, what if, and you live with regret. But when you go all in, even if you fail, you walk away knowing you gave everything. And that is freedom, because failure can be learned from, but regret cannot be undone. Life rewards bold decisions, not only with results, but with the kind of fulfillment and peace that only come from knowing you gave it your all. So the choice is simple. You can live in the in-between, always dabbling, always hesitating, always wondering what might have been. Or you can make the bold, all-in decisions that cut off the past, that ignite the future, that demand results. Life will meet you at the level of your commitment. If you give it half of you, it will give you half a life. If you give it all of you, it will open doors you never imagined. There is no in-between. There is only bold, all-in living, or the quiet frustration of settling for less than you are capable of becoming.